Most people over 60 are told the same thing about losing height. It is just part of getting older. It sounds sensible. It sounds safe. But here is what nobody tells you. Accepting it alone does not protect your independence, and most of the height you have lost was never inevitable in the first place. Large, long-term studies that follow the same adults for decades find that the average person loses roughly 1 to 2 inches of height between the ages of 30 and 70. That number gets quoted as proof that shrinking is simply aging. But here's the part that almost never gets said out loud. Rehabilitation clinics measure people every single week whose standing height goes back up once the right things change. So today I am giving you 5 specific named things that reclaim the height you can still get back. Plus the one distinction almost no appointment has time to explain, which is knowing exactly which part of your loss is permanent and which part is not. The number one item on this list is something almost nobody talks about, and one very common exercise makes it dramatically worse. Stay with me until the end because that one can change how you approach the next 10 years. Here's what actually happens at your appointment. You step on the scale, the nurse slides the bar down onto your head, and a number goes onto a chart. Nobody compares it to the number from 3 years ago. Nobody asks whether you lost it slowly over a decade or suddenly over 1 year, which are 2 completely different problems. And if anyone does mention it, you usually hear a single word: aging. That is not because your doctor does not care. It is because 12 minutes has room for your blood pressure and your prescriptions and nothing else. I am not here to sell you a supplement or scare you into a course. This channel exists to give you the science a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover. Height loss is one of the most useful early warning signals your body will ever give you. And almost nobody is taught how to read it, because this is not about looking shorter in a photograph. When your spine folds forward, your center of gravity moves out in front of your feet, and that is the exact position from which older adults fall. It changes how you rise from a chair, how you reach a top shelf, and how far you can walk before your back tells you to sit down. So do me one favor right now. Put your age and your country in the comments and tell me how much height you think you have lost. Now the mechanism, and there is only one you need. Your height is not a single structure. It is a stack of 24 bones with a soft, water-filled cushion between each one, held upright by 2 long muscles running the length of your back. You lose height in exactly 3 ways. The cushions lose water, the muscles get weak and let the stack tip forward, or a bone itself loses density and compresses. Picture a flagpole standing in your front yard. The pole sections are your bones. The rubber washers between each section are your discs, and the guy wires anchored into the ground are your back muscles. If the washers dry out, the pole measures shorter. If the guy wires go slack, the whole pole leans forward and it measures shorter too, even though nothing broke and nothing is damaged. Please do not skip this section. It is the key to everything that follows, because 2 of those 3 causes are changeable, starting tonight. If this is already making sense to you, tap the like button so more seniors can find it. Number 5, the first hour rule paired with morning water. This is the easiest half-inch you will ever get back. Your discs are sponges with almost no blood supply of their own. Overnight, lying flat, they pull fluid back in and swell, which is why you are genuinely taller when you wake up. Then gravity squeezes that fluid back out across the day. Most of that squeeze happens fast, in the first 60 minutes after you get out of bed. And if you load your spine hard during that hour, the sponge is full and stiff and much easier to strain. Researchers who measure standing height across a full day have documented this pattern over and over. People measure close to half an inch taller in the morning than at night, with the steepest drop in that first hour. So here is the protocol. Drink 12 to 16 ounces of water within 15 minutes of getting up because a dehydrated disc cannot refill no matter how long you slept. For that first hour, no heavy lifting, no deep bending to load the dishwasher, no carrying laundry baskets downstairs. Instead, give it 2 minutes of gentle movement, 10 slow shoulder rolls, and 10 easy knee lifts while holding the kitchen counter. Then measure your height once a month, always at the same time of day, because your morning number and your evening number are 2 different numbers. The mistake almost everyone makes is measuring whenever they happen to think of it, then panicking at a figure that was never comparable in the first place. If getting out of bed leaves you stiff or lightheaded, sit on the edge of the mattress for 30 seconds first with both feet flat on the floor. Do the shoulder rolls seated with one hand resting on the bed. Never do this standing in the open middle of a room on day one, always within arm's reach of a counter or a wall. And if you get sharp back pain during any morning movement, stop, sit down, and mention it to your doctor because sudden morning back pain has causes worth ruling out. Pair that water with the first protein of your day. The disc rebuild and the muscle rebuild both run on what you take in after the overnight fast. 1 glass of water and 1 real serving of protein in the same 10 minutes costs you nothing and takes 90 seconds. But water only refills the cushions. It cannot straighten an upper back that has already folded forward over 20 years. That is a mobility problem, and it needs a completely different tool. Number 4, the rolled towel thoracic extension. This targets the upper back, the region between your shoulder blades. That part of your spine is built to arch backward, but almost nothing in modern life ever asks it to. Reading, cooking, driving, knitting, and phone screens all pull you the same single direction forward. Over years, the tissue in front shortens and the small joints in back stop gliding. Think of a garden gate hinge that has only ever swung one way. It does not break. It just quietly stops opening and the gate starts hanging crooked. Rehabilitation research on age-related upper back rounding consistently finds that mobility work combined with strengthening improves posture measurements in older adults. Mobility on its own is not enough, but almost nothing else works well without it. Here is the protocol. Roll 1 bath towel into a firm cylinder about 3 inches thick. Lie on your back on a carpeted floor or a firm bed with that towel running crosswise underneath your shoulder blades, not underneath your lower back. Knees bent, feet flat, both hands behind your head to support your neck. Let your upper back drape backward over the towel and breathe slowly for 60 to 90 seconds, then rest 30 seconds. Do that 3 times once a day, and after 2 weeks, slide the towel 1 inch higher and then 1 inch lower so you reach different segments. If getting down to the floor is not safe for you, then do not get down to the floor. The chair version works. Sit tall in a firm dining chair, hands behind your head, and gently arch your upper back over the top of the chair back for 5 slow breaths, 5 times. Keep the movement up in the shoulder blade region and never in the low back, and never force the range. Sharp pain, tingling down an arm, or any dizziness means stop immediately, not push through. Pair this with the morning water from number 5 and do it in the evening rather than first thing. Your discs are less pressurized at night, so the position is far more comfortable, and you are much less likely to overstretch. Mobility in the evening, loading in the afternoon, but opening a stiff upper back does not teach your head where to sit. You can gain that range in the evening and lose it again by lunchtime because the habit underneath it has not changed. That is number 3, and it is the one people are most surprised by. And keep number 1 in the back of your mind because everything so far is preparing the ground for it. Number 3, the wall chin tuck done twice a day against a real wall. This is not a stretch. It is an alignment drill. Your head weighs about 11 pounds when it sits directly over your shoulders. Move it 2 inches forward and the working load on your neck and upper back muscles roughly doubles. Those muscles fatigue, they stop holding, and the whole stack settles lower. Picture carrying a bowling ball tucked against your chest, then carrying that same ball at arm's length. Same ball, completely different strain, and your spine is the arm. Clinical measurements of forward head position in older adults connect it directly to reduced lung capacity and to worse balance scores. This is not a cosmetic problem. Here is the protocol. Stand with your heels about 3 inches out from a wall, then press your tailbone, your upper back, and the back of your head against it. If your head will not reach the wall, put a folded towel behind it rather than straining your neck to get there. Now draw your chin straight back as if you were making a double chin without tipping your face up or down. Hold 5 seconds, release, and repeat 10 times. Do that twice a day, morning and evening, and understand that the error nearly everyone makes is tilting the chin upward instead of gliding it straight backward. Every part of this happens with your back flat against a wall, so there is nowhere to fall. If standing for 2 minutes is difficult, do it seated in a chair pushed back against that same wall. Stop immediately if you feel dizziness, tingling in your hands, or pain traveling into a shoulder. Neck symptoms are never something to push through, and they are worth a phone call to your doctor. Pair this with the towel extension from number 4 in that exact order. Mobility first. Alignment second. You cannot hold a position that your joints cannot reach. Open the hinge, then teach the gait where to hang. But posture drills only give you the position. They do not give your body the raw material to hold it or to rebuild what has already been lost. That material is number 2, and most people are getting only half of it. Number 2. 25 to 30 grams of protein at each of 3 meals alongside calcium and vitamin D. Not more food, better distributed food. Bone is not stone. It is living tissue, roughly half protein by volume, being torn down and rebuilt every single day of your life. The muscles holding your spine upright are rebuilt the same way out of the same amino acids. Think of your skeleton as a wooden deck with a repair crew that shows up every morning. If the lumber only gets delivered once a week, the crew stands around and the deck slowly loses boards. Major nutrition and geriatric societies now recommend that older adults take in noticeably more protein than younger adults because aging muscle responds less efficiently to the same amount. National guidance for adults over 70 generally puts calcium at around 1,200 milligrams a day, and vitamin D is simply what allows you to absorb the calcium you eat. So here is the protocol. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast, at lunch, and at dinner, instead of a tiny breakfast and an enormous dinner. That is roughly 3 eggs plus a cup of Greek yogurt, or 4 ounces of chicken, fish, or tofu. Take your calcium from food first and spread it across the day because your gut absorbs somewhere around 500 milligrams at a time, not 1,200 at once. Ask your doctor to check your vitamin D level rather than guessing at a dose because the right amount depends entirely on your starting number. The mistake is loading everything into dinner, which leaves your body with no material at all for the other 16 hours. If you have kidney disease, if you take a blood thinner, or if you are on any medication for bone density, talk to your doctor before you change your protein, calcium, or vitamin D intake. Those interactions are real and they are individual. If chewing meat is difficult, use yogurt, cottage cheese, eggs, lentils, or a plain protein powder mixed into milk. Nobody needs to fight their way through a steak to reach this number. Pair your largest protein serving with the day you do the most loading work. Muscle keeps rebuilding for roughly 24 to 48 hours after you challenge it. Feed the repair on the days you actually create it, but raw material with no signal builds nothing at all. Your body does not add strength to a spine it has no reason to believe needs strength. That signal is number 1. And number 1 is the item I told you almost nobody talks about, because the most common exercise people do for their back is quietly making the problem worse. Number 1, back extensor strengthening, done as a prone thoracic extension 3 days a week. This is the item that actually moves the number on the measuring stick. Put your hand on your low back right now, just above your belt line, and feel the 2 thick ropes of muscle running up either side of your spine. Those are your spinal extensors. They are the guy wires from the flagpole. Their entire job is to hold that stack vertical against gravity all day long without you ever thinking about it. After 60, these are among the very first muscles people stop using because nothing in an ordinary day asks you to arch backward. As they weaken, the upper back rounds, the head drifts forward, and you measure shorter without one single thing being broken. And here is what makes this the crown of the whole list. That rounding is not just a shape, it is a load. Every degree you fold forward increases the compressive force on the front edge of each vertebra, which is precisely where age-related compression fractures happen. So strengthening these two ropes lifts you back up and takes pressure off the bone at the same time. This is one of the better studied areas in all of geriatric rehabilitation. Work from the Mayo Clinic following postmenopausal women found that those who trained their back extensor muscles had substantially fewer spinal compression fractures years later than those who did not. And in that same body of research, the women doing repeated forward bending and sit-up style exercises had markedly more fractures than the women doing extension work. So here is the protocol, and I want you to hear every number in it. Lie on your stomach on a firm bed or a padded floor with a pillow under your hips and your arms down at your sides. Lift your breastbone and your forehead about 2 inches off the surface. 2 inches, not 6. Hold for 3 seconds, then lower all the way down and relax. Do 8 repetitions, rest 1 full minute, then do a second set of 8. 3 days a week, never on back-to-back days, because the muscle actually rebuilds on the off day. After 2 weeks, move your hands up to your shoulders, which lengthens the lever and increases the load without any equipment at all. After 4 more weeks, reach your arms overhead into a wide Y shape, which is the hardest version most people will ever need. Progress only when the current version feels easy for all 8 repetitions, and add leverage rather than adding repetitions. Now, the safety, and this part is not optional. If you cannot get onto your stomach safely, use the chair version instead. Sit tall in a firm chair with your hands on your thighs, press your breastbone forward and up while squeezing your shoulder blades together, hold 3 seconds, and do 8 of those. If you have been diagnosed with osteoporosis or you have ever had a spinal fracture, bring this exercise to your doctor or a physical therapist before you start it and stay with the chair version until they clear you. Never bounce, never lift higher to make it harder, and never let this turn into a backward bend of the low back. Stop immediately for sharp pain, for pain traveling into a leg, for numbness, or for dizziness, and do not restart until someone has looked at you. And here is the warning I promised at the very beginning. If your bones are thinning, repeated deep forward bending, and traditional sit-ups load the front edge of the vertebra exactly where it fails. So those are the movements to take out, not the extension work. Pair this with number 2, the protein on the same days you train. 25 to 30 grams within an hour or 2 of the session hands the muscle its material while the signal is still fresh. Then pair it with number 4, the towel extension, done on your off days rather than your training days. Mobility on the light days, strength on the working days, and the two stop competing with each other. So here is the payoff I promised you at the start. The height you lose to dried out discs comes back overnight and leaves again by evening, so that one is a daily rhythm, not a real loss. The height you lost to a collapsed, unsupported upper back is trainable, and a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of standing height back over 3 to 6 months is a realistic target for most people who train these muscles properly. Only the height lost to an actual vertebral fracture is permanent, and even there, every single thing on this list lowers your risk of losing the next one. Consider a typical case documented in the rehabilitation literature. A 74-year-old woman arrives having lost just over 2 inches from the height printed on her driver's license. She has stopped reaching the top shelf, she has started sitting down to put her shoes on, and she has had 2 near falls in her own kitchen in 1 month. Imaging shows no fracture anywhere, which is the detail that matters most because it means her loss is postural and muscular rather than structural. Her program is not complicated at all. Water and 2 minutes of gentle movement in the first hour every single morning. The towel extension in the evening 3 times a week, wall chin tucks, 10 repetitions, twice a day. Protein at 25 to 30 grams per meal, 3 meals a day, and prone extensions at 8 repetitions for 2 sets on 3 non-consecutive days. At 12 weeks, her measured morning height is up by 3/8 of an inch. But the change she actually talks about is a different one. She is reaching the second shelf again, and she can stand at the kitchen sink for 20 minutes without her low back forcing her to sit down. Balance is not luck. Mobility is not genetics. Independence is trained. So here is your checklist, and I want it small enough that you will actually do it. 5 steps, each one with a number attached. Tonight, roll 1 bath towel 3 inches thick and set it beside your bed, then lie back over it for 60 seconds. That is step 1, and it takes 1 minute. Also tonight, put a full glass of water on your nightstand so tomorrow's 12 to 16 ounces is already poured. That is step 2, and it takes 10 seconds. Tomorrow morning, protect the first 60 minutes, which means no heavy lifting and 2 minutes of shoulder rolls and knee lifts while holding the counter. That is step 3. This week, do the wall chin tuck at 10 repetitions, twice a day, 7 days straight, which is 5 minutes total per day. That is step 4. And this week, start the prone or chair extension at 8 repetitions for 2 sets on 3 non-consecutive days. That is step 5. Then measure your height once in the morning and write the date beside it, and measure again in 90 days at the same hour. Do not try to do all 5 perfectly. Do 3 of them consistently, because consistency is what moves that number. Now think of somebody in your life who has quietly gotten shorter this last decade and who has started avoiding the top shelf. It might be a parent. Send them this video, because the difference between height you can get back and height you cannot is not something anyone ever sits them down and explains. And tell me in the comments which of these you are starting tonight. Your answers decide exactly what I cover next. If you want the science a 12-minute appointment never has time to cover, subscribe to this channel. That is the entire reason it exists. This video is education, not a diagnosis. Your own doctor knows your history, so bring this list to your next appointment. I'm Judy Vance. Don't forget to subscribe and live longer.